Good evening, everybody. Hello, hello. Sorry, very sorry. I am 6 minutes late, and I apologize. Do not want to waste anyone's time ever. Cat duties and other life things called that kept me for a minute. So, hello, hello. Hope everybody's having a great night. If you're still in chat, say hello. If I'm about to check my chat right now and come and say hello. Who's in chat? Catacomb Man. Hello, hello. How are you? Oh, look at that. D Smalls. How you doing? Well, I'm happy to see you. How are you? Yes, it's an overload. It's an overload. Only in Detroit. What up? Detroit in the house. Yeah. New doc drops popping off. That's right, Bree Sully. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope you're having a good day. Batsheet, how are you? Who else am I missing? Anna D. Hello. Sorry if I don't sound peppy. It is what it is. I'm not feeling very peppy, but it's okay. Meg P. Hi, honey. How are you? Jackie, hello. Kelly, hello. Beckles, hello. Well, thanks, honey. I love you right back, Meg P. I just feel bad. I don't ever want to leave people hanging, right? Sorry, I'm late. Nola. Oh my goodness gracious, Nola. I can't believe you're blessing me with your presence, darling. I'm honored. I bow to you, my queen. Who else am I missing? Beckles, did I say hello to you, honey? How you doing? I got to get into my chat real quick and slow this shit down. Caroline. Sweet Caroline, how are you? Angel D, what up? How you doing, honey? Welcome on in. I hope everybody's having a good night. Meet some Z's. Hello. I'm sure many other people are live. Many other people are covering it. I totally understand. Have 4 lives open if you need to, right? One on the tablet, one on the TV, one on the laptop, one on the phone, and then you can listen to everybody, I guess, right? Bootsy. Driving but listening. Drive safely, darling. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Seahawks fan, what up? Seahawks. Swamp Rose, hi. Welcome in, beautiful Kiki. Thanks for being here. Hope you know how much I appreciate all of you. Mercy Cat, yay. I was hoping you were going to catch this one. I'm not even kidding you, darling. As I was setting it up, I'm like, well, my Mercy Cat's been missing for a couple of days. I really hope she gets to catch this one. Thank you so much. Love you. Thanks for being here. Who else am I missing? I hope I'm not missing anybody. I'm trying to keep up with chat. I got to slow it down. Lady Di too. Hi. How are you? Moonlight. Hi. You caught a live. Hello. First YouTube live ever. Willie Miller. Well, welcome on in, Willie Miller. Another Willie in the house. Listen, Linda. Hi. How are you? I love reading everybody's names. I really do. Tom Campbell. I know Kane hates it because he has to put me at 5 speed to go through all of my hellos and my welcomes, but it is what it is. You'll have to speed it up, Kane. Elisanda. Hola, ¿cómo está, mi amiga? I'm feeling much better, friends. As good as I can be. My doctor gave me these freaking awesome patches. Hang on. What are these things called? I'll share them. I'll share with you what they're called. Mercy Cat probably knows what they are. What does this say? Okay. 5% lidocaine patch, right? So, I don't know. I don't know why they called them into the pharmacy. I don't know if you can buy 5% over the counter. Either way, my doctor called me in a shit ton of these, and I got to tell you what, slapping these bad boys on my ribs, oh wow, just numbs everything. I can actually move around. I just got to be really careful not to, because it's numb, not like injure myself. But yeah, I love it that they numb everything and I can actually get things done. And so, yeah, I appreciate that because I didn't want any narcotics or anything like that. I just take ibuprofen. And don't worry, Mercy Cat. My doctor chest x-rayed me. I'm good. I don't have pneumonia. No pneumonia developed, so don't worry. I know that's probably what you were thinking. All right, let me get to my hellos that Kane is going to have to put at 5 speed. Dynamite. Hello. Sunny days. Hello. I got to slow my chat. Hello. I had to give you a little story time, though, didn't I? Salty Grace, darling. Hello. Tom Campbell. Hello. Thanks for being here, everybody. Holy crap. There's already like 85 of you here. All right. Well, that makes me happy. It's a lot to go through. I know there's still more coming in. I got through, I don't even know how many tabs I have open. Let's see. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 13 tabs open for documents. So that's about what I've been able to get through. And you know me. I just go, mark everything up and type in my own little notes and shit. Sorry, guys. That's just what I do. I will share the document so you can follow along and print and laminate and frame and do whatever you like. Design rhythm. Hola. Hola, right back. All right, guys, give me 1 second and let me slow this shit down. Kissy times 3. Well, Kissy times 3 right back to you. Paco, hello. How are you? Who am I missing? Dynamite, did I get you, darling? Love you. All right, if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. I gotta give me 1 second. Let me get into my little chat. Jilly Bean. All right, I gotta slow it down. I'm gonna put you guys at 30 seconds. Okay, don't be mad, but it has to be chat. Oh, let's turn that down. All right, give me 1 second. Fix this. Any of you trolls want to comment, you're going to have to subscribe longer than 20 minutes. Sorry, friends. Okay, mods, hopefully that helps you too, right? Slowing it down a little. Did I put it at 30 or 60? Done, and done. Done that before I came on. All right. Now, it's a lot to go through. Taurus babe, hello, spicy chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets. Let me get back over here because I know I'm of Christopher Cooper. Hello, Mr. Cooper. How you doing? Welcome on in. Lady Bob, hello. Lady Bob, cute name. Where is a hoe named Ida? Okay. A hoe named you. It's my favorite name, I think. A hoe named Ida. Your job to worry about me. I know. She's taken it as her honorary position, I guess. I know that maybe pneumonia was going to set in, but don't worry, darling. But I love you, Mercy Cat. I'm blessed. I don't know, blessed. And I appreciate that. Kylie, hit the like button. That's right. There's 100 people here. I have approximately about maybe 12 to 13 minutes of if you replay this, darling, just so you know, if at any point you use this video, you will absolutely have to pop through about at least the first 15 minutes because I'm chit-chatting with people in chat. Echoes, hello, honey. How are you? I saw that you put a new video up today, and I'm not a big promoter of card pullers, right? But because I love you so much, I think, why not? Everybody should go watch your videos. I think you are. And I appreciate yes and your perception of things. So I hope you know that. Angel D, you don't have to say, darling. Stasia Hart, is that? Love it. All right. Enough of the I love you all. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Let's see what we can get to first. All right. Because I have 13 tabs open here, let me make sure I'm going to open the right one, right? Which one's this? I don't want to start there. Where do I want to start? I will let you know it's probably not going to be with the I already read through it, but it's me and I don't like it, and it's going to be tricky for me to read through that one for you guys, only because like I try to stay really personally detached, and the whole thing surrounding his autism and some of his diagnosis and stuff, it's actually quite personal, and so I don't know if I'm going to go there. Maybe I'll read it, maybe I won't, we'll see. But me and emotions, we don't go together. So let me check and see what I got here. Witness identification by Bushy. What was the other one? Not that one. Was it this one? That one's short and sweet. Sorry, I'm just looking at all my tabs. I can't see chat. Sorry. Hang on. Oh, wait. This one's only 4 pages. Maybe we'll start. Let me think. Yeah, it was this one. We're going to start here. This is going to be... Which one's this? 6. Okay. All right, sorry, friend. Sorry. Okay, sorry. Jameson, what up? You caught a lot. Welcome on in. Boston. Look at this. Another queen blessing me with her presence. And it's like, wow. And Mrs. Peterson, right? I feel like that's the, top tier, right? If I can get all those chicks to come and say hi, it's a good day. What up, Boston? All right. Start here. Mods, love you so much. Appreciate you. And is it really going to make me do this? Let's see. No, I don't want to do that. All right. Which one? Annie, get your life together. My God. There we go. I'm sorry, guys. I really am sorry. I don't have my life together, and I've never tried to tell you that I do. So, is it that one? That one. That one. Come on. It's in here somewhere. That's wild. There. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Appreciate your patience. All right, mods, love you. No reading. I appreciate every single one of you being here. Thank you for hopping in chat, saying hi. I'm guessing my audio is good. Before I even start reading this, I feel like somebody would have told me by now my audio sucked. So throw some thumbs up in the chat if my audio is good, and I will get to reading. Kane, you'll have about 15 minutes to fast forward through. Halls, how you doing? Thanks for being here. All right, give me a thumbs up. Appreciate you, Swamp. Hi, Halls. As long as my audio is good, we're good to go, friends. And I'll just shut up and get to reading. You know what I mean? Candy girl, how you doing? We got some thumbs up. Audio's good. Sweet. Thank you, Betsy. All right, cool. I'll shut up. All right. So this is the reply to the state's objection to motion in limine number 6 regarding Nolan touch and contact DNA. Comes now, Brian C. Koberger, by and through his attorneys of record, hereby respectfully replies to the state's objection to Mr. Koberger's motion to exclude specific opinions of Riley Nolan and the terms touch DNA and contact DNA. The state's objection is that the use of the term touch DNA will not mislead the jury. That Nolan's testimony on the, quote, how the DNA was placed on Q11 is, quote, proper expert testimony. And that despite Nolan's opinion being the state's theory, that it is proper rebuttal to the testimony of the defense expert, Dr. Ruth Ballard. Mr. Koberger will address each objection in order. Objection A. The use of the term touch DNA will mislead and confuse the jury. In Mr. Koberger's motion in limine number 6 at 3 through 8, he sets forth in detail the history of the use of the terms, quote, touch and contact DNA, and the growing use of those words. So much that a recent report from NIST offered the recommendation that analysts should not offer opinions as to the how and when that a particular DNA sample came to be on an object. The state's opposition argues that the only purpose for the use of the word touch in the context of DNA is to distinguish between samples that collected from a known or visible stain, such as blood, saliva, and semen, and DNA that may be deposited on an item by handling or wearing. So the state's opposition argues that the only purpose of the use of the word touch in the context of DNA is to distinguish between samples that collected from known or visible stains, such as blood, saliva, and semen, and DNA that, quote, may be deposited on an item by handling or wearing. What this argument fails to consider, and Mr. Koberger forcefully explains, the use of the word, quote, touch in the context of DNA implies a fact that is not known. The fact being that the DNA was in fact deposited via touching the object, which is not known. The implication of the word is the issue, not the description, the type of sample, or the means that the DNA transfer through the environment. The implication of the word is the issue, not the description of the type of sample or the means that DNA can transfer through the environment. A close reading of Nolan's now 3 disclosures, footnote 1 here says she has a new different disclosure. from Nowlin that was filed recently, March 14th, 2025. This disclosure was not touched on in motion in limine number 6 because Mr. Kohberger had yet to see it. So isn't that interesting? She got to file a new disclosure on March 14th, 2025. Okay, so that was footnote 1. A close reading of Nowlin's now 3 disclosures shows the inherent problem with the use of the word touch and lack of any need to use the term. In her first disclosure, Nowlin describes the ways in which DNA can move in the environment using language such as direct, indirect transfer without use of the word touch, except to describe the action of a person actually touching an item and transferring DNA. In the March 3rd, 2025 disclosure, Nowlin, for the first time in 2025, March 3rd, for the first time uses the term, quote, touch DNA as a descriptor and not a verb. If the court simply removed the word touch from the disclosure, the description of the concepts laid out would not suffer and would be as clear as the earlier similar description in S7. Nowlin seems to switch between using the word touch in reference to describing a type of DNA, indicating that it is not necessary to offer a cogent description of the process or transfer laid out in her disclosures. I got to know what that word means. Sorry, you guys. If you haven't been here long and you haven't listened to me before, if I see a word that I'm not sure of, I Google it because I want to know how to say it and what it means. Cogent, adjective of an argument or case, clear, logical, and convincing. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So clear, logical, and convincing. Cool. Cogent means clear, logical, and convincing, right? Cool. Cogent. Okay. The state cites to a single case for the proposition that experts in other cases have used the phrase touch DNA. This case is from 2016 and discussing the availability of technology to test touch DNA in the time frame from 2007 to 2012. In further support, the state offers a single article which references sampling methods for touch DNA. It ignores the articles cited by Mr. Kohberger, which are reviews of the literature. These reviews cover in total over 300 scientific articles as compared to the single article presented in the state's opposition. The state has presented no articles advocating for the use of touch DNA. Finally, the state offers Nowlin's statement that the term is typically used. So they're saying that she's saying, yeah, it's typically used. Footnote 2. Nowlin also points to the use of touch DNA in Dr. Ballard's disclosure. Mr. Kohberger understands that if the court grants his motion, Dr. Ballard will not be able to use that term. There's another footnote there. We'll get to it when we get to it. No peeking. All right. The state does not present any documents, peer-reviewed journal articles, or other materials that advocate for the use of the term touch or contact in reference to DNA samples taken from an item where the lab did not see an obvious body fluid stain and did nothing to determine the presence of any possible biological source. Footnote 3. Footnote 3 says the state could have conducted blood, saliva, or semen testing to eliminate or establish the presence of one of these fluid types, but chose not to do so. Interesting. Nowlin's affidavit offers no support to the necessity of using the term touch DNA, other than to state that it is a term that is widely used. Nowhere does she point to any references that support that position, that this is the only means available to describe the type of sample that is being tested. As is clear from her previous disclosures, she very clearly and concisely describes transfer as a concept without using the term, meaning without using the term touch. The first time she uses the word touch is this year, March of 2025. None of this is convincing and does nothing to rebut the peer-reviewed opinions of the author cited by Mr. Koberger, that the use of the terms can be misleading and suggests a mode of action which is unknown. Footnote 4. Footnote 4. Mr. Koberger in no way suggests a substitute for the word touch or contact. Nowlin's disclosure clearly shows that a description of the concept of transfer does not require the use of the touch or contact for the explanation. And testimony to be clear and cogent. Ooh, there's that word again. See, and my brain fog's real. What did it mean again? Cogent. Damn it. I kept the tab open. Clear, logical, and convincing. Okay, cool. So what they're saying here is that she, in other disclosures, has described the DNA on the sheath as transfer and hasn't used the word touch or contact up until this year, 2025. So she did it before, right? She could give this explanation again, and it could be cogent. It could be clear, logical, and convincing without needing to use the word touch or contact, right? Let me pause here for a minute. Sound right, friends? Come back to chat. Hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. If you joined and I was in another window reading, so sorry. Janet UK, hello. Chief, hi. Thomas, Oaxaca, hello. ADH Stacy. Who else did I miss? My goodness. Hopefully my mods welcomed you right on in. For fuck's sake, Fitziana, there you are, darling. Hi, honey. How are you? Twiz, where are you at? Where's Twiz? Well, Twiz is in here somewhere, but my chat's flying. Elizabeth Munster, hi. I'm just trying to get through comments. Jesse, hi. There you are. Twiz, what up? I think now where's Willie? Mary Holt, hello, welcome on in. Let me get through my chat here. Holy crapola. Hi, guys. Appreciate every single one of you. Dory, hi. Oh, my goodness. All right. If I missed you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. So I think I read that right. I think we got the word cogent correct, right? And I think what she's saying is that Miss Nowlin could have explained all of this, which she has previously done in other disclosures. She referenced when referencing this DNA sample off the sheath. Up until 2025, she's never called it touch or contact till recently. So, Okie Granny, hello. So, Yvonne Poole, you just got here. Well, welcome in, darling. All right, let me get back over here. So, if I didn't get that correct and didn't interpret that correct, as I've always told you, don't listen to anything I say, right? Read the documents yourself, come to your own conclusions. I'm just here to read and give my opinion. So, none of this is convincing, and she could have done all of this without using the word. Perfect. Where were we? Footnote 4, right? Damn it, Annie, get it together. Yeah, somewhere in here. Yeah, it was right there. Footnote 4. Okay, cool. The use of the descriptors touch and contact DNA are not necessary to the description of transfer laid out in Nowlin's disclosures, and would only mislead and confuse the jury, and require a significant consumption of time and cross-examination to prove a point that the state seems to concede, which is that the use of the word is not intended to imply the how of the DNA on Q11. Reason B. Objection B. The opinion of how the transfer DNA to Q11 is not proper expert testimony. To rebut the citations to the research on the topic of transfer and analysts' ability to assess transfer in a particular case, the state offered a brief conclusory affidavit from Nowlin. This affidavit does nothing to assure or assist this court in coming to a decision. As stated in motion in limine number 6, the state intends to offer Nowlin's opinion. I keep wanting to say Nowline. I am confusing her first name. I'm literally mixing her first name with her second. Nowline. That's what my brain wants to say. Don't ask me why. But when I read her name, I want to say Nowline. No disrespect, for real. None. It's just for some reason my brain puts her first name with her last name and then puts it together. Let's try this again. This affidavit does nothing to assure or assist this court in coming to a decision. As stated in motion in limine number 6, the state intends to offer Nowlin's opinion that the DQ11 is from direct contact, despite acknowledging that, quote, current DNA technology cannot conclusively answer the question of when DNA was deposited on an item or by what mechanism, end quote. Nowlin essentially places her subjective personal opinion in direct contradiction that the technology used cannot answer the question. This type of opinion and testimony is exactly the type of misleading testimony that the EWG group was concerned about. Let's see. As set forth in motion in limine number 6, Mr. Koberger objects to the specific testimony of Nowlin regarding her opinion that the DNA found on Q11 is, quote, more likely the result of direct transfer. A qualified expert, quote, may testify in the form of an opinion only if their specialized knowledge will assist the trier of fact to understand the evidence or determine a fact in issue. Because a verdict cannot rest on speculation or conjecture, expert opinion, which is speculative, conclusory, or unsubstantiated by facts in the record, is of no assistance to the jury in rendering its verdict, and therefore it's inadmissible as evidence under Rule 702. Let's see. And then it cites here Orion v. Beisner. The admissibility of expert opinion testimony depends on the expert's ability to explain pertinent scientific principles and to apply those principles to the formulation of his or her opinion. Thus, the key to admission of the opinion is the validity of the expert's reasoning and methodology. In resolving these issues, the trial court should not substitute its judgment for that of the relevant scientific community. The trial court should not substitute its judgment for that of the relevant scientific community. The court's function is to distinguish scientifically sound reasoning from that of the self-validating expert. Wow. Let's read this again. The trial court should not substitute its judgment for that of the relevant scientific community. The court's function is to distinguish scientifically sound reasoning from that of the self-validating expert who uses scientific terminology to present unsubstantiated personal beliefs. Damn, Bicca Barlow came for the throat here, huh? Almost positive it's Bicca Barlow, if I remember correctly, who did this. We'll see at the end. I'm almost positive this is Bicca Barlow. So she's citing Ryan v. Beisner here. The court's function is to distinguish scientifically sound reasoning from that of the self-validating expert who uses scientific terminology to present unsubstantiated personal beliefs. Damn. That's a burn, huh? Burn. Wish I had that sound effect. Burn. All right, let's see. 1. Nowlin is not an expert in transfer. The first question for the court is whether Nowlin has the proper expertise to proffer an opinion of how the DNA arrived on the sheath. First question for the court is whether or not Nowlin has the proper expertise to proffer an opinion of how the DNA arrived on the sheath. As set forth in Mr. Koberger's motion in limine number 6, the expert how and when opinions require a different type of expertise that exceeds that of the and expertise of a DNA lab analyst. Okay. The expertise for the how and the when is not going to come from just your standard training DNA lab analyst. And we'll get further into this if Audrey is here. Audrey's probably going to love it that they're citing sidebar, friends, sidebar. Audrey shared something with us the other night. I think it's in this document here. It just so happens to be something Audrey shared on a community tab, this conference that Nowlin attended, 2025. I think it just so happens to be the conference is around the time she's using the word touch too, if I remember correctly. We'll get into it. But yeah, just wanted to sidebar that. Audrey, I don't know if they saw your stuff, they saw your post, but girl, they're citing the same thing you did the other day, darling. All right, let's read this again. As set forth in Mr. Koberger's motion in limine number 6. The expertise for how and when opinions require a different type of expertise that exceeds that of the standard training and expertise of a DNA lab analyst. Nowhere in its reply does the state address the question of Nowlin's expertise in this area, nor does Nowlin in her affidavit. Not mentioned by Nowlin in her affidavit is the recommendation of EWG. Interesting. Not mentioned. This recommendation, so footnote 5, right here, not mentioned by Nowlin in her affidavit, is the recommendation of the EWG, footnote 5. This recommendation was objected to by 2 of the 25 members of the EWG, quote, not because training on this subject is not important or necessary, but because they question how XPs will determine what experts are for TPPR and formal activity evaluation training, as well as what constitutes, quote, appropriate professional guidance in the United States. They are also concerned that currently available guidance might not employ the necessary safeguards that typically exist in a quality system of an accredited FSSP. Validation, competency, and proficiency testing, appropriate discovery reporting processes, and similar measures. Additionally, As stated in their objection to 7.1, these members believe Recommendation 7.2 is premature until Recommendation 7.3 is implemented. Then they give us that here, 7.2. So Recommendation 7.2, the evaluation of DNA results given, quote, how and when questions is distinct from the evaluation of DNA results given who questions. In order to develop policies and practices on how DNA analysts should respond appropriately to questions about how and when DNA was deposited in a particular case, forensic science service providers should consult professional guidance documents and experts who understand issues related to transfer and persistence. These policies and practices should require DNA analysts to be appropriately trained to respond to such questions. A close review of Nowlin's experience shows that she has no specialized training or experiences in the area of transfer. Her CB attached to Disclosure 12/18/2024 S21 lists no substantive training in the area of transfer. It appears, here we go, Audrey, darling, this one's for you. Maybe you already read it. I'm sure you did. It appears that she may have attended some presentations at the American Academy of Forensic Science meeting in February 2025. Well, would you look at that? Oh, well, would you just look at that absolute coinky-dink, right? What a coinky-dink. February 2025, she goes and attends the American Academy of Forensic Science. She goes and sees some presentations. And then, well, look at that. By March of 2025, all of a sudden, for the first time ever in this case, she's saying the words touch and contact. Wow. The coincidences, they stack and stack and stack. Let's read that again. It appears that she may have attended some presentations at the American Academy of Forensic Science meeting in February 2025, but she provides no details regarding the presentation she attended, despite the fact that the materials were available online. And then they give you the link for the materials, Audrey, darling. There you are. That's like Christmas for you, I'm sure. Huh, honey? If you're in chat, I can't see my chat, but Audrey, if you're listening, this is probably like Christmas for you. All right. None of her presentations or publications involve transfer, and she has pointed to no research or experience she has in the area of transfer to substantiate her ability to offer an opinion on the how and when of the DNA in this case. While Nowlin may be qualified to testify about DNA testing, she is not competent or qualified to offer an opinion regarding the specific evidence in this case. Number 2, the opinion of Nowlin regarding direct transfer is speculative and not founded in sufficient facts. And then it cites here, Idaho courts have long held that speculative expert testimony is inadmissible. Quote, testimony is speculative when it theorizes about a matter as to which evidence is not sufficient for certain knowledge. An opinion that is speculative suggests only possibilities and may be properly excluded since the opinion would not assist the trier of fact. Expert testimony will assist the trier of fact when the reasoning or methodology underlying the opinion is scientifically sound. In determining whether expert testimony is admissible, the court, quote, must evaluate the expert's ability to explain pertinent scientific principles and to apply those principles to the formulation of his or her opinion. End quote. And then quoting Ryan Supra, while the court must distinguish scientifically sound reasoning from that of the self-validating expert who uses scientific terminology to present unsubstantiated personal beliefs, it may not substitute its judgment for that of the relevant scientific community. Here, Nowlin presents an opinion that the Idaho Supreme Court specifically warns against a personal belief presented as a possibility without any scientific basis to support that opinion. In response to Mr. Koberger's motion in Lemony number 6, the state filed a short affidavit from Nowlin reasserting, without any factual or scientific support, that, quote, there is not a consensus in the forensic community that DNA lab analysts should not opine about DNA transfer, persistence, and recovery. In support of this argument, Nowlin points to the dissent of the two of the EWG members to the recommendations from the EWG that analysts not present these opinions. However, the statement by Nowlin is incomplete and misleading. While Nowlin is correct in that 2 of the 25 members dissented, their dissent is not supportive of Nowlin's position because they, like all other EWG members, agree that this type of testimony can be misleading and otherwise problematic. Quote, 2 members do not support recommendation 7.1. While they acknowledge that analysts are often asked to respond to how and when questions in criminal cases and agree that testimony on this subject can be misleading or otherwise problematic, they believe that the broad prohibition in Recommendation 7.1 puts the proverbial cart before the horse by not first requiring an assessment of the type outlined in Recommendation 7.3. Moreover, they worry that supporting 7.1 would imply the need for analysts. I think this is a typo. Oh my God. Brain's gonna explode. Moreover, they worry that supporting 7.1 would imply the need for analysts to shift to a new paradigm that has not yet been sufficiently vetted within the specific context of the U.S. court system. So these EWG members are saying, right, 2 members who are saying they don't support the recommendation of 7.1, right? If you're asked, analysts are often asked to respond to the how and the when questions in criminal cases. And these 2 members agree that testimony on this subject can be misleading or otherwise problematic. They believe that the broad prohibition in Recommendation 7.1 puts the proverbial cart before the horse. So first, they require an assessment of the type outlined in 7.3. Go to 7.3 first, right? And moreover, they're worried that supporting 7.1 would imply the need for analysts to shift to a new paradigm that has not yet been sufficiently vetted within the specific context of the U.S. court system. Interesting. All right. They cite it here. This objection is not an endorsement of this type of testimony. Rather, it voices concerns that essentially there is no adequate training or system in place to support the scientific validity of the how and the when. Right, because there isn't. Who determines who the experts are of the how and the when? What's the training for it? Who peer reviews you? What standards do you have to abide by, right? How do these DNA analysts become touch transfer experts, the how and the when? How can they become experts on the how and the when? And who determines what training needs to be done for them to be an expert on those two things, right? It's not in place yet. Nowlin next points to the lack of consensus within the forensic DNA community on the use of this type of testimony. However, this is more argument than fact. Nowlin asserts that, quote, the other side of the debate believes that not offering an opinion based on knowledge of molecular biology DNA when it may aid the trier of fact is unethical, and that there were presentation on both sides of the argument at a recent meeting of the American Academy of Sciences. Interesting. Nowlin does not provide the identities of the communities she cites for support or any article or presentation that supports her statements. Nor does she explain how ethical norms are being violated or that there are ethical guidelines that support this contention. Nowlin has presented no specific arguments or research on the topic that supports her opinions as is demanded by Idaho law, and so clearly stated in Ryan Supra. And then it's quoted here, the admissibility of expert opinion testimony depends on the expert's ability to explain pertinent scientific principles and to apply those principles to the formulation of his or her opinion. Thus, the key to admission of the opinion is the validity of the expert's reasoning and methodology. Even in a signed affidavit, Nowlin can produce no scientific principles that apply to the formulation of her opinion, and she has offered this court no reasoned basis for her opinion other than two bare facts. The court needs to consider carefully her full opinion. This is her full opinion. Quote, many complicated factors can influence the likelihood of transfer DNA and the persistence of the transfer DNA after deposition. Current DNA technology cannot conclusively answer the question of when DNA was deposited on an item or by what mechanism, meaning direct or indirect transfer. It is possible the DNA detected on M2022-483 item 11 resulted from secondary transfer. However, based on Nowlin's training and experience, it is her opinion, given the quantity of DNA detected on M2022-483 item 11, 0.168 nanograms, and given the DNA profile obtained as single source, it is more likely the result of a direct transfer, end quote. Stop here for a second. So even in her own affidavit, she does say it is possible the DNA detected on item 11 resulted from secondary transfer. But based on her training and experience, it's her opinion, given the quantity. Now, it's my understanding this quantity here is the concentrated amount, I believe they call it, not the actual amount of DNA that was recovered. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that. It's my understanding that's like the concentration amount. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, fine, I'm wrong. Cool. I'll eat my words happily. No problem. So, but she does say it is possible the DNA detected on the sheath, that's item 11, resulted from secondary transfer. It's her opinion that it came from, that it's more likely that it's the result of a direct transfer. That's her opinion. First, Nowlin explains that there are many complicated factors affecting the transfer of DNA. She states that the current technology cannot conclusively answer the question of how and when of transfer, and explains that the DNA on item Q11 could possibly be due to indirect transfer, but that her own personal training and experience led her to the conclusion that the DNA is more likely due to direct transfer. Nellen essentially offers the court and ultimately the jury a confusing opinion that the science does not allow for conclusive determination of how and when of transfer, and that both scenarios, direct and indirect transfer, are possible, but she believes that the direct transfer is more likely. This opinion could not be more speculative. Quote, an opinion that is speculative suggests only possibilities and may be properly excluded, since the opinion would not assist the trier of fact. This opinion would not be helpful to a jury and would tend to confuse and mislead the jury. Nellen only offers possibilities based on no substantive scientific principles, and which flies in the face of the science that Nellen herself agrees with, that this type of opinion cannot be conclusively determined. Mr. Koberger would be prejudiced by this speculative opinion, and substantial court time would be consumed in the cross-examination and impeachment of this witness and this opinion, and therefore this opinion should be excluded. And yeah, it's Bicabarlo. Well, holy guacamole, now I can come back to chat. What do you guys think about that? Holy crap, oh friends. I'm sure there's a ton of you here. I missed 173 people. Thank you so much to all of you. Let me go see who I missed in my chat here. Jesse Stargazing, hello. Moonvale, a hoe named Ida, hello. Moonvale, hello, honey. All right, who else did I miss? Official, what up? How you doing? If there's anybody else I missed, I'm so sorry. Big Mikey, hello. How are you? Good morning to you. Who else am I missing? KP, what up? How you doing? Jameson, hello. All right, now I'm back in chat. I can see you guys. Hope everybody's having a great night, and thank you so much for being here. Okay, so let's see here. It looks like Bicca Barlow is coming for Riley Nolan. And she's saying, we're going to impeach this witness if we have to cross-examine her, because in no way, shape, or form should she be giving an opinion that it's her opinion that, even though in her own declaration, yes, it could have been, it's possibly due to indirect transfer, but it's also possible that it was direct transfer. Nope. The scientific community says you should go with the first one, because you shouldn't be offering testimony regarding the how and the when. You shouldn't be giving an opinion on that. So that's a pretty good document. Del B. Rush, what up? Formerly Ty Knots, how you doing? Thanks for being here. JB, hi. Squishy Bum, hello. Hope everybody's having a great night. Leslie and Billy, I'm feeling much better. Thank you for asking. I've got on some great numbing patches, and it is what it is. We're rolling with it. Tonka, how you doing? So yeah, looks like Bicca Barlow here is, it is what it is. Technically, like, if you want to, you can't talk about the how and the when, right? You can talk about transfer, secondary transfer, things like that, but the how and the when is a touchy subject, because they don't have proper standards, protocols, procedures in place for someone to even be considered an expert on the how and the when. There's nobody who is determined to be an expert on the how and the when, not even Bicca Barlow, right? When you're referencing like touch, you're implying, if you're referencing touch DNA to imply that this person directly touched this object, while also saying, but it could have also been indirect or secondary transfer, that is misleading and confusing. Is it not? I feel like that's misleading and confusing, especially when there isn't an expert out there that is, what would you call it, accredited, right? That they have this like on their curriculum vitae. Yes, I took courses to be an expert on the how and the when. And these are the courses I had to take, and this is the accreditation I had to get, and this is what I had to do to be certified as an expert to the how and the when. There's nobody who can do that. Just say, if I'm reading that wrong, if I'm interpreting that incorrectly, well, then you can read the document yourself and come to your own conclusions, right? But I think I'm right about that. So anyways, hopefully everybody understood that. I think we all got the gist. Let's get over here and close this out. Wait, hang on. I have to save it because I marked it up. Sorry. Stop sharing that one. Okay. Next one was the where is it? There it is. Okay. Next step. Do this one. Thanks everybody for being here. Sorry it's taken me a minute. Appreciate all of you. Hope you're all having an awesome night. Where's Eddie? Anybody seen Eddie? I think Fitzy's here, right? Twiz is here. I haven't seen Eddie. Well, I hope Eddie's having a great night, wherever he is. There we go. This one. Okay. This one is going to be for the inconclusive data. Reply to the state's objection to motion in limine number 5. I probably could have went in order like 5, 6, but I didn't want to. So, let's see. So this is regarding item Q13.1, the fingernail clippings, swabs of the fingernail clippings. Item Q13.1. Comes now Brian C. Koberger, by and through his attorneys of record, hereby respectfully replies to the state's objection to Mr. Koberger's motion motion to limit the admission of the inconclusive data obtained from item Q13.1, not completely excluded. Mr. Koberger filed his objection to this evidence based on the questions and answers elicited by the state during the testimony of Jade Miller in relationship to the Q13.1 DNA test results. As the state concedes, multiple comparisons of multiple individuals to this data rendered inconclusive data, including for JD, CB, XK, BF, and BK. Miller testified at the grand jury consistently with her report blank. Redacted. Redacted. The important language from that statement is, quote, one way or the other, end quote, whether someone is a contributor. One way or the other. So somewhere in this redacted statement, she's saying one way or the other, someone's a contributor, right? Hey, one way or the other. Okay. Much as with the motion in limine number 6, to try to take this opinion further, as the state wants, would be speculative and improper testimony by an expert. And, as with the opinion regarding the how and when of the presence of DNA on Q11, testimony beyond what is stated in the report would be replacing the scientifically supported opinion of Miller, written in her report and received by her colleagues, and consistent with her lab protocols, into the realm of speculative, misleading, and confusing opinion. Damn. Is this one Bicca Barlow too? Probably is. Yep. Damn. Holy shit. Bro, Bicca Barlow is like, I love me some Masseth. Don't get me wrong. Masseth is still my number one, you know? But, man, Bicca Barlow just comes in swinging, huh? Holy shit. Let's read this again. The important language from that statement is, quote, one way or the other, end quote, whether someone is a contributor. Much as with the motion in limine number 6, to try to take this opinion further, as the state wants to, would be speculative and improper testimony by an expert. And, as with the opinion regarding the how and when of the presence of DNA on Q11, testimony beyond what is stated in the report would be replacing the scientifically supported opinion of Miller, written in her report and reviewed by her colleagues, and consistent with her lab protocols, into the realm of speculative, misleading, and confusing opinion. Bicca Barlow's like, even your colleagues would agree that you're getting into the realm of speculative, misleading, and confusing opinion with whatever you set up here in your redacted little testimony. The state's own papers show the problem with going beyond the stated opinion in the report, when it asserts that the court should not exclude the, quote, lab analyst finding that the defendant could not be excluded as a contributor from 13.1, end quote. Nothing in the lab report supports such a conclusion or opinion. And nowhere in the state's disclosures has the state proffered an opinion that Miller intends to testify that Mr. Kohberger cannot be excluded from this sample. Footnote 1. A review of the multiple disclosures in this case, including the most recent set, never has the state described this particular opinion. So they're saying that, like, all of these multiple disclosures, nothing in the lab reports, nowhere in the state's disclosures has the state proffered the opinion that Miller intends to testify that Mr. Kohberger cannot be excluded from this sample. And as we know, his own outside independent, the outside independent lab did exclude him. As Miller testified in the grand jury, redacted, somewhere she said inconclusive, right? The plain and clear understanding of the word inconclusive is that one cannot draw a conclusion, right? Bingo. That's why it's inconclusive, because you can't come to a conclusion. It is inconclusive. And all of those people that a likelihood ratio was created for, including Mr. Kohberger, all sit in the same shoes. They're all inconclusive, meaning you cannot draw a conclusion. None of those samples can you draw a conclusion. Here, the state apparently intends to proffer the undisclosed opinion that despite this testimony, the report, that Miller has concluded that Mr. cannot be excluded. Huh. So all of a sudden, Miss Miller has now concluded in her newer report that he cannot be excluded. The state has proffered no scientific basis for such an opinion. The testimony would lead to jury confusion, is misleading, and would prejudice Mr. Kohberger, especially in light of the very late disclosure of this new opinion. As Miller testified, there simply is not enough information to conclude either way. Oh, okay. Here we go. We got her testimony. As Miller, I went through this the first time too, but because my eyeballs were flying through it and highlighting things, you know, the brain sometimes doesn't process it till you read it out loud. Anybody else? As Miller testified, there simply is not enough information to conclude either way. If any of the individuals who fell in the inconclusive range could be a contributor. There is a reason that the lab has an inconclusive range, which is that the data does not allow interpretation. Well, there's her testimony. Why did they redact it? Why'd they redact it? What's the point? It's right here, bro. Why'd you even redact it? How stupid. Because it was maybe, no. How dumb. As Miller testified, there simply is not enough information to conclude either way if any of the individuals who fell in the inconclusive range could be a contributor. So none of them. There was no way to conclude either way if any of these individuals, including Brian, could be a contributor. There is a reason that the lab has inconclusive range, which is that the data does not allow interpretation. Cross-examination of Miller on this topic would be extensive and take substantial court time. Mr. Koberger's fear that even an inconclusive opinion would mislead a jury to believe and conclude that he could be included prompted additional and independent lab testing. Through additional testing, the limited state opinion of inconclusiveness will be confronted with the fact that a defense expert will testify that he is indeed excluded. Take it on in. Take it on in. Let him marinate. Mr. Koberger's fear that even an inconclusive opinion would mislead the jury to believe and conclude that he could be included. That's what prompted the additional and independent lab testing. Through that additional testing, the defense expert will testify that he is indeed excluded. Mr. Koberger's motion to limit the testimony of Miller regarding item 13.1, Q 13.1, should be granted, allowing the state to proffer at this late date a brand new opinion that contradicts not only the written report but Miller's grand jury testimony would violate Mr. Koberger's right to due process and right to competent counsel. Holy shit. Well, can anybody disagree with that? Allowing the state to proffer at this time such late and brand new opinions that contradict not only the written report, but her own grand jury testimony. You can't let this poor girl get up on the stand. Let's come to chat. The state can't let this poor girl get up onto the stand here. This is just my opinion. Because if they do, and the judge says, nope, she's in, we're going to let her come and talk about all this inconclusive bullshit, even if it might be misleading, right? Bicca Barlow's going to hit her with her own grand jury testimony, which we know they've already turned over inadvertently grand jury materials and subpoenas. So you may not want to let this in. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because they're definitely going to hit her with her own grand jury testimony that's contradictory. What do you mean you all of a sudden in March of this year all of a sudden have this new opinion that you want to put in even after your late disclosure? You're already past disclosure, right? And this brand new opinion you have literally contradicts not only your written report, but your grand jury testimony that you've already provided. Holy shit. And that's Bicca Barlow again. Like I said, she appears. Remember a couple weeks ago I said I'm almost positive like Bicca Barlow is going to be handling anything to do with DNA, inconclusive this, statistical that, right? That's going to be Bicca handling all of that. Because she's coming for them is what it. Let me stop sharing this one. Okay, so we got through 2 so far. That one was short and sweet. And close that out. Come on. What are you doing? Computer, get it together. Thank you. Okay. All right, let me come over to chat for a minute. Take a sip of my drink. How's everybody doing? You got drinks? You got snacks? You got what you doing? Anybody drinking a beer? Having some wine? Having some tea? What you doing? I got a little quad espresso here that I got a little while ago. All right, both the kids are asleep, Meg P. We'll party it up, girlfriend. Right? It's party time. The kids are in bed. Woohoo! Get it cracking. Oh my God, Mrs. Peterson. Hello, darling. I just said earlier, right? All I needed up in here was like Mrs. Peterson, Sleuthy, Goosey, and Lana because I had Boston. I had all the queens up in here earlier. Now Mrs. Peterson is here. I just need me some Goosey and, even just a hello from Goosey. I think she doesn't like me though. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's because I swear a lot. I know a lot of people think that I'm brash and harsh and I swear too much and I'm mean, but it's fine. I love me some Goosey though. Anybody else? I wish she would come back and just like nerd out on docs, you know what I mean? I could listen to that chick for hours nerding out on docs. Anybody else? Right? I just love her so much. I mean, not that I don't love many other people. I don't know why. I just love me some Goosey, and I wish she would come back and start reading, going through these docs, nerding out on them with us. Angel GB, hello. You just getting here? Beckles. Ooh, let me catch up to Beckles here. What you got? Lemon chicken and chicken carbonara, and you're stuffed. Good. Glad to hear that. Delby. So Miller concluded there's no way to know who it is. Therefore, put in any name you want. It could be them. I don't know what she concluded. It's just that either way, it's inconclusive. All of them are inconclusive. Therefore, I think the point the defense is getting at here is if all of them were inconclusive, including Brian, why'd you only focus on his when his likelihood ratio was one of the least? I think is likely where Bicca Barlow's going with that, but that's just my opinion. Elisanda, you ate a huge carrot, tomato, mozzarella toast, and you're going to go out for matcha. Oh, well, there you go. Get it, right? You're having an orange crush zero. It's pretty good. Need some Z's. There you go. Anna D. Oh, look at this. ADH Stacy says cheers. Beer me. All right. So let's see. Wait, what happened to Heather? Wait a minute. Oh, Kane said he had you in the trunk. Oh. Okay. I thought maybe something really happened to my Fitzy. And I was like, no, wait, what? Not right, brain. Say it isn't so. Podcast with Peterson. You suck at typing? Don't worry about it, honey. Lurk away. Say hi when you can. You know how much I love you, and thank you so much for being here, and I've missed you. I try to catch you when I can. It's usually on replay, though. We have opposite schedules, I think, darling. You were never in Kane's trunk. Damn right you weren't. You'd fuck him up if he tried to put you in the trunk. Nor was the potamus. Damn right. Get him, right? Get him. Ho, 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 ho. All right. Well, right, Tammy. Right. If none are conclusive, then the chances are pretty high that none of them are the perp. Well, right. Yep. I could agree with that statement. Absolutely. Right. I think that's also what the defense is getting at, too. Yes. Not only are they all inconclusive, you shouldn't have even been looking at his. And if you were going to focus on any of them, right, If you're gonna say follow the inconclusive data because you don't have a definitive conclusion, at the very least, why would you go with the one that's the least likely, right? Even if you are going to get into this realm of speculation and following this inconclusive data, well, I mean, maybe you should be going with the one that had the highest likelihood ratio, not the least. Just my opinion. I don't know shit. No facts here. Don't listen to me. Swampside Chick, what up? Welcome on in. Yes, they were, darling. Taurus, babe. We will get to it. Damn right they were. Along with all of the people on the 911s, they were not separated. Everybody went to a hotel. And, took more selfies and did God knows what. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they all went there and cried. I have no idea. Thrive off grid. Interesting. Welcome. Thank you so much for commenting and being here. I think BF acquired this, what Thrive Off Grid has to say. I think BF acquired the K bar at the park when she allegedly camped there the previous month. Interesting. Never heard that one. Actually, you know what? No, I did. Now that you say that. It was a long time ago, but you are correct. I feel like I remember hearing that. Although I don't know where it came from, too. It's been so much shit in this case. Okay, next. They did actually go to a hotel, yes. It's in one of these documents somewhere. I promise we'll read it. Yes, they did go to a hotel. And many of the people on the 911 call were also at the hotel with them as well. These people weren't separated, I guess. Which could be, presented as problematic, right? They all went to a hotel. What do you mean? Like, I guess if you're the defense, you could take that and present that in a way that maybe it looks like, so they all got to go to a hotel and just kibitz with each other about what happened and the what and the when and the, you know what I mean? Not to sound like a jerk, but like, say you all get to go to the hotel and get your story straight. That is how it could be presented. Just my opinion. But it's very interesting when you think about it. And they weren't advised either not to have no conversations. Technically they should have been advised to like stay away from each other. Don't be talking about the case. Don't be, I guess is what they're getting at here. We'll read through it. It's in one of these documents, I promise. Don't worry, it's there. Let's see. Where are we going to go next? It's only 2 of 3. Which one's this? Yeah, that one, no. Click activity. What was this one? Yeah, I'm not doing that one tonight. That one's 59 pages, so we're gonna save that one. Anything I don't need here, I'm going to get rid of real quick. Let's do this one. This one's only 9 pages. Now we're going to get into motion in limine number 7, the defendant's reply to the state's response to the defendant's motion in limine number 7 regarding witness identification by bushy eyebrows. Usually Ahmad will post that for you in chat. I will try to post it for you as well. Give me 1 second and I can do that. Let's do that. Oh, no, I can't. Actually, I lied because this is from my documents. Sorry. So I can't do that for you. Oops, sorry, kitty. No, you can't step on the keyboard. Sorry, kitty. I love you, but nope. Okay. Make sure everybody can see that. Ahmad Anyone, if you don't mind, I'd appreciate it if somebody could put this document in the chat. Because the one that I have open is actually from my own documents. So, actually, am I fucking doxing myself right now? No. Okay. Cool. I was about to be like, wait, we're going to close all this shit out. I said, oh shit, man, I've been reading these documents, doxing myself up here, right? No, I'm not, though. It's cool. All right. I guess it doesn't matter anyway. We don't play around here. Okay, cool. So, anyways, argument. Comes now. Brian C. Koberger, by and through his attorneys, blah, 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 blah. Witness identification by bushy eyebrows. Filed on March 17th, 2025. Argument. Mistaken identifications have been one of the leading causes of wrongful convictions in the United States for decades and still are. When a witness swears under oath to the identification of the person on trial, the impact cannot be understated. In this case, if Dylan Mortensen is allowed to say that she saw bushy eyebrows, it will not be different than her pointing to Mr. Koberger and saying, quote, that is him, end quote. To make matters even more prejudicial, the state wants to admit into evidence a picture of Mr. Koberger, as if DM identified him in the photo. This is how wrongful convictions occur. The photo of Mr. Koberger that the state attached to its response is not relevant and is overly prejudicial. This is akin to the state trying to identify Mr. Koberger for Dylan or create its own corroboration for her. Dylan previously said that she could not identify him. There are literally millions of people in the world who might be described as having bushy eyebrows. The term itself is subjective. And Dylan has a fascination with drawing eyes and eyebrows. Well, she can't draw her mask very good. The state contends that Dylan's statements are independently reliable as law enforcement did not employ a witness identification procedure. Mr. Koberger is not suggesting that Dylan Mortensen's descriptive words were developed in conjunction with a lineup. Dylan was interviewed 5 times. Law enforcement was involved with each interview. According to the state, Dylan's multiple descriptions of the intruder were based on her own recollection and were not the result of suggestive identification procedures employed by law enforcement. Mr. Koberger points the court to the following instances which are suggestive. So these are all the times that the defense feels law enforcement suggested things to Dylan. Suggestive, planting, hey, what about, here we go. 1, in the second interview on November 13th, 2022, Nelly, hang on one second, my cat is literally trying to tear open a bag of ramen. Oh my God, hang on, friends. This cat, Nelly. No, kitty. No, don't knock over the coffee. Okay, excuse me, troublemaker. Come on, Domino's. All right. No, thank you, kitty. Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. She was literally trying to rip open a bag of ramen. She is, a majestic beast. Where was I? Second interview on November 13th, 2022. So these are all of the suggestive things in the defense's opinion. These are the things law enforcement suggested to DM. Second interview, November 13th. Dylan was interviewed at the police department by Detective Mowry, who inquired about facial features and asked Dylan if she knew what color the intruder's eyebrows were. Why would you ask her that? Not the eyes, the eyebrows. Maybe he did ask her eyes and it's just not in here, but that's weird, huh? You're only going to ask about the eyebrows? Detective Mowry is the person who mentioned eyebrows, not Dylan. That's funny shit. Detective Mowry is the one who mentioned the eyebrows, not Dylan. Even though she's the one who frickin' draws them. Isn't that interesting, right? She draws eyes and eyebrows and puts them on the corkboard on the wall, right? And in her interview, never mentions eyebrows once until Detective Mowry brings it up to her because he's seen all of the damn eyes and eyebrows plastered all over the wall, the drawings. Number 2. In the third interview on November 17th, 2022, Dylan was interviewed by Detective Gooch, who asked Dylan if she knew what a balaclava was and showed her a picture. In the fourth interview on December 1st, 2022, Dylan drew the mask for the interviewer. If you saw my community tab, you saw that I posted it. A copy of Dylan's drawing is attached. It looks remarkably similar to a balaclava. Interesting. Ay. So Gooch suggests, hey, you know what a balaclava is, right? Let me show you a picture. Do you think that maybe this is what it looked like? And then, well, wouldn't you know, Dylan draws one, and it looks remarkably to what Gooch. Interesting. The state argues that Dylan is a reliable witness. Should the court apply the 5-factor Manson-Biggers balancing test to evaluate witness reliability, it should not ignore either the limited amount of time that Dylan had to view the intruder or her state of intoxication. A witness is likely to provide an accurate identification from a fleeting view, and a witness's attention is likely compromised when they are intoxicated. State v. Alvarez. Dylan saw the intruder briefly in a dark hallway, and in her own words, was probably, quote, very drunk and tired when she saw the intruder at 4 a.m. Should the court apply a relevance test and weigh the reliability of Dylan, exclusion of the term bushy eyebrows is appropriate for all the reasons explained in the Manson-Biggers test and intoxication as referenced in Alvarez. If the court decides not to rely on Manson-Biggers and Alvarez, it should consider the scientific studies that explain the fragility and inaccuracy of memory. This analysis, which is applicable to a court's decision to limit this evidence, is the fact that scientific studies conducted on memory show that there are several steps to creating and retaining memory, and influences such as amount of time of exposure to view, the amount of stress involved, level of intoxication, and post-event influences, among others, should be taken into consideration when determining reliability. The science of memory is laid out below. The first phase in the development is the acquisition or encoding phase. The acquisition of memories depends on perception and all of the factors that affect perception, such as distance, lighting, and duration of exposure. Because perception also depends on several individualized factors, the encoding phase of developing memories is affected by many of those. Those same criteria. Sorry. My damn blind eyes. Let me get my damn glasses. Acquisition of memories depends on perception, all of the factors that affect perception, distance, lighting, duration of exposure. Footnote 3. That's there. Oh, shit, I missed footnote 2. Here we go. Let me read you footnote 2. Sorry, I skipped it. On Saturday, November 12th, 2022, through the early morning hours of Sunday, November 13th, 2022, Dylan had consumed champagne, 9 to 10 seltzers, White Claws, with 5% alcohol, Borg, a concoction of hard alcohol, water, and flavoring in a big plastic jug, and unknown amount of alcohol while participating in a drinking game. Motion in limine number 9, Exhibit 6. This footnote just recites the alcohol consumed in an approximate 24-hour period and does not include the alcohol consumed in the immediate days prior to November 12th. Man, so she was drunk AF, bro. What? 24-hour period. Saturday, November 12th through the early morning hours of Sunday the 13th, she consumed champagne, 9 to 10 White Claws, Borg, and unknown amount of alcohol while participating in a drinking game. Damn. Holy shit. Girl, Dylan, if you're listening, stop, honey. You're going to kill your liver and end up with alcohol poisoning. For the love of Pete. It's one thing to party when you're young, but holy shit. And the sad thing is God forbid she ever did get alcohol poisoning. Sad fact of the matter is, looks like most of these people, well, you likely wouldn't have gotten her any help. Just my opinion. No facts here. All right. Because perception also depends on several individualized factors, the encoding phase of developing memories is affected by many of the same criteria. Sorry, I already read that. The contents of short-term memory are limited and highly subject to interfere by subsequent sensory, cognitive, emotional, or behavioral events. The contents can also be biased by prior knowledge, prior knowledge, expectations, or beliefs, resulting in a distorted representation of experience. Interesting. Correct. Resulting prior knowledge will result in a distorted representation of your experience. Short-term memories. Short-term memories of events that happened early in a witness proceeding may simply be forgotten with the passage of time, or badly compromised by attention directed to subsequent emotional events or cognitive and behavioral demands, meaning anxiety, fear, the need to escape. In such cases, the compromised information may never be consolidated fully into long-term storage, or that storage may contain distorted content. Basically saying that some of these short-term memories, especially when anxiety, fear, the need to escape, or prior knowledge, expectations, or beliefs, right? It's like having a corrupted file in your hard drive, right? It's kind of what I feel like I could equate it to. It's like a corrupted file in your hard drive. But that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Sounds like what they're saying, long-term storage, right, of your memory. In such cases, the compromised information may never be consolidated fully into long-term storage, or that storage may contain distorted content, right, like a corrupted file. At the same time, the quality of encoding of stimuli that are affected is commonly enhanced by highly emotional content. Footnote 4. Okay, that's just someone's, okay. Sensory overload has particular relevance to the encoding phase. It can lead to so much incomplete sensory acquisition that confabulation, quote, the creation or substitution of false memories through later suggestion, can occur to fill in the many gaps that exist. The creation or substitution of false memories through later suggestion. In this case, The time period of observation was seconds at most, with limited lighting, under stress and expressed fear, and with a witness who has repeatedly expressed she is unsure. She was in a, quote, frozen shock phase, end quote. She did not know, quote, if it's a dream, end quote. And there is a time delay in her reporting what she saw. The next part of the memory process is the retention or storage phase. During this phase, the brain stabilizes and consolidates memories for storage until they are called upon for retrieval. The amount of data being encoded and retained is one factor that affects this phase. The greater the amount of data presented, especially in shorter periods of time, the less that will be retained. A second key factor is the retention interval. How much time passes between storage of the memory and the retrieval of it? A third factor is the most potentially negative effect of memory retention: the post-event misinformation effect. That's what I should have titled this live, damn it. Kind of want to go in and fix it right now. Hold, please. Post-event misinformation effect. Let's fix that. Da, 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 da. Post-event misinformation. Effect. That's the word. Post-event misinformation effect. There we go. Let's fix that. Fix that. Sorry, friends. I just wanted to fix that, that's all. Okay. There we go. Post-event misinformation effect. So this third factor, known as the post-event misinformation effect, is the most potentially negative on memory retention. It's the highest negative effect on memory retention. Exposure to subsequent information affects how earlier memories are retained and retrieved. This means that an eyewitness exposed to post-event misinformation can accept erroneous or even non-existent details as if they were true. In this case, not only was there an 8-hour delay in reporting, prior to the first law enforcement interview, Dylan was allowed to mingle with Bethany and many other friends. Law enforcement did not separate all of the friends who came to 1122 King Road prior to interviews, and no warning was given to not discuss the facts, and no effort was made to limit such a discussion. Many of the friends who were at 1122 King Road when police arrived also stayed in the same hotel room the night of November 13th, 2022. So whoever asked about that, there it is. Many of the friends who were at 1122 King Road when police arrived also stayed in the same hotel room the night of the murder, November 13th, 2022. There was also extensive media coverage. Post-event misinformation must be considered as a factor on the accuracy of Dylan's memory retention. Finally, during the retrieval phase, the brain searches for the pertinent information, retrieves it, and communicates it. When eyewitnesses describe what they observed to police, when they participate in identification confrontations, and when they testify in court. Several factors affect retrieval. Time is a very important factor in memory retrieval. As a rule, the longer the period between acquisition, retention, and retrieval, the more difficulty we have retrieving the memory, a phenomenon referred to as memory decay. So the longer the period between acquisition of the memory, retention of the memory, and then the retrieval of the memory, the more difficulty we have retrieving the memory. It's a phenomenon referred to as memory decay. It's what my brain feels like every day for the last freaking week and a half now. Memory decaying. I'll say something 5 minutes ago and don't remember what I said. By the time Dylan testifies, almost 3 years will have passed. After law enforcement interviews where her recitation of the events November 13th, 2022 changes, and after extensive media coverage about the case, which almost always includes pictures of Mr. Kohberger, memory retrieval in these circumstances weighs against reliability. For these reasons addressed above in Mr. Kohberger's initial brief, the court should grant Mr. Kohberger's motion in limine to exclude Dylan Mortensen from using the words bushy eyebrows to identify the intruder that she saw, and to exclude Dylan from identifying Mr. Kohberger based on bushy eyebrows. The court must additionally prohibit the state from acting as an identifying witness by admitting a picture of Mr. Kohberger in evidence in support of Dylan's testimony or for any other reason, meaning she never ID'd him. She never ID'd him, even when she was shown pictures, etc. She could not identify him. Therefore, you should not even be submitting his photo. What are you submitting his photo for? Because that photo is not what was used to identify him. She never identified him via a photo. Right? That's what it sounds like to me. I could be wrong. That's what it sounds like. All right, let me save this one. We're just chugging along here, friends, right? Holy crapola. Let me save this one and close out this tab, and we will get moving. Hope somebody's keeping a list of what I've read here, because Lord knows my brain will forget. Okay, what's this one? This one's 34 pages. Holy shit. Okay, let me come back to chat. How's everybody doing over here? Hope you're all having a wonderful evening. 180 people watching, huh? Hey, lurkers. If you're lurking, I appreciate you. Hope you're having a great night. Maybe just listening. I hope my audio is okay. I know you guys chit-chat with each other in chat, but I hope my audio hasn't been clipping out and acting all wild, man. Eddie isn't here, and he's usually first to let me know. Come back over to chat. What do we got here? Yeah, Twiz, stop reading ahead. Why are you, giving spoilers in chat? You know that's one of my chat rules, right? No spoilers. You're a mod. You should know better, darling. Right? I'm going to have to put you on a timeout, Twiz, because you're giving spoilers. I'm kidding, Twiz. I love you. I'm just messing with you. But stop giving spoilers. Okay? And get over here. Sure hope Hitler pays attention to the filings. I feel like he won't, though. I don't know. No K-bar purchase. No coverall purchase. Yes. Oh, maybe Twiz is just responding. Maybe he's not reading ahead. Maybe he's just responding to people in chat. I don't know. I never sign anything agreeing to follow rules. Well, Twiz, you're supposed to enforce the rules of chat, not break them, right? I'm kidding. You know I love you, but stop giving fucking spoilers. Rochelle, you're lurking while you work? Well, thank you, darling. Lurk away. I hope you have a great night at work, great day at work, whatever time it is where you are. Mrs. Peterson, my darling. The more that comes out, the more it ticks me off. Brian has been in jail for this nonsense. I wholeheartedly agree. Not gonna lie. Me and emotions don't go together. I am angry. I just won't. I'm not going to lose my shit on here, that's for sure. Trust me, Willie got to hear me lose my fucking mind earlier, so it's fine. I just dump it on Willie, and then I come on here and be calm. I'll call Willie or Lana. Rage. We have rage conversations. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I feel better. RB, keep it rolling. What up? Hello. How are you? I read a little ahead. Well, that's okay, Twiz. You can read a little ahead. That's fine. All right. Okay, so let's see. Where do I want to go next? Let's see. One of these, yeah, there's some of them that are really long. So we're going to do those like one at a time. I'm not even going to try to get to those tonight. So I'm going to save them though. That's what I read, right? Bushy eyebrows. That's the one we just read. Okay. I can close that one out. Oh, wait. Nope, this is a different one. That's why. Okay. So we just read the reply to the state's response. Annie, dumbass. I meant to read this one first and then they do that. Either way. This is the state's response to defendant's motion in limine number 7 regarding the bushy eyebrows. This one is 18 pages. So what we're going to do, I'm going to bring this up. It's fine. We'll get through it. We can do it quickly. Let's see. State's response. Yep, that's the one. Okay, here we go. So this is 18 pages, as usual, marked up. Yes. What we're going to do, though, is going to be the intermission portion of tonight's live. Yes? Everybody cool with that? We're going to do intermission for 3 minutes. I'm going to use the restroom. Everybody else can do the same. Please don't dip out and go anywhere. I'll put on some elevator music and you guys can chat amongst yourselves. Use the restroom, get a snack, get a beer, get a glass of wine. Let's do intermission. I'm going to use the restroom, and then when I come back, we'll read this 18 pages. Yeah? Cool. Hopefully you all stick around. Let me put on some freaking music for you. Hang on. Yes, thanks, Meg P, for posting that, darling. Appreciate you. Let's see. What do we want to put on here? Okay, there you go. 3 minutes, friends. Don't dip out. Stick around, listen to some music, chat with your friends. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We're back. So sorry. I am back. No, it's not over, darling. No. I was only taking intermission. We did like a 5 minute, 3 minute intermission. That's all, honey. That's all. Just an intermission. And I think Lana just went live too, but it's okay. We're going to read this. This one's 18 pages. I already got it marked up and stuff. But yeah, no, just a little intermission. Sorry about the royalty-free music. I saw that. Somebody put that in there. Mommy Ball, right? There you are. Hello. Welcome in. I am me. Hello. How are you? Yeah, glow sticks. No twerking in chat. Oh my God, you guys are funny. Well, I hope you at least chit-chatted and enjoyed yourselves in chat for a couple minutes. Sorry. All right. Let's see. That one, Annie. Get it together. All right. So I meant to read this one first and kind of go in order. This was the state's response to the defendant's motion in limine witness identification by bushy eyebrows. We just had the reply. That's what I just read, was the reply to this. I meant to read this first and then do the reply, but it's okay. I'm sure you guys get it. Comes now. State of Idaho, by and through the Latah County Prosecuting Attorney hereby responds to the defendant's motion in limine number 7 regarding witness identification by bushy eyebrows. Defendant's basis for his motion are the Idaho Rules of Evidence 403, 601, 602. Applying the Idaho rules of evidence to the facts of the case at hand, the court should find Dylan Mortenson's description of the intruder, including that he had bushy eyebrows, admissible. I don't think they should, but that's just my opinion. The state incorporates its previously filed motion in limine regarding text messages and testimony, as well as the state's motion in limine regarding the 911 call, into this response, to the extent that the state is referring to any exceptions to the rule against hearsay as anticipated evidence. Facts. On November 13th, 2022, sometime before 4:19 a.m., Dylan Mortenson observed a person inside her residence, which she had shared with her 4 roommates at 1122 King Road. Interesting. Sometime before 4:19 a.m. Something else that happened before 4:19. Xana's on TikTok at 4:12. There was something else. Sorry, I'm just making notes. Sorry. So sometime before 4:19, huh? Interesting. 3:51. Sometime before 4:19, Dylan Mortenson observed a person inside her residence, which she shared with her 4 roommates. Well, Xana was on TikTok at 4:12, allegedly. Correct? And 3:51, she's entering a new contact. Okay. So, interesting. Dylan Mortenson placed several phone calls and sent several text messages to her roommates. The only roommate who responded is Bethany. They had 2 short phone conversations. Funny, we only saw on the transcript, right, for those text messages, the one for 41 seconds. There was a second call for 24 seconds. So they had 2 short phone conversations, 24 and 41 seconds. Within those phone calls and text messages, Dylan relayed to Bethany she saw a person in the residence wearing black, and he had on a ski mask that covered his forehead and mouth. At approximately 11:56 a.m., a 911 call was placed from 1122 King Road for a reported unresponsive female. The caller stated one of the roommates was not waking up. The caller also stated, quote, "Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night," end quote. Moscow Police Department responded to the scene. The same day, at approximately 12:09 p.m., 12:09, so within 10 minutes of arriving on scene, we'll say, Mitch Nunes took a statement from Dylan on scene outside of 1122 King. Dylan told Officer Nunes she saw a male, quote, "not insanely tall, wearing all black and a mask that was just covering his forehead and mouth," end quote. Later, Dylan reported the description, quote, "He was a little bit taller than me. I couldn't really see much of him. And, quote, I'm almost positive he was wearing a full black outfit. And he had this mask that was just over his forehead and mouth," end quote. Dylan gave the description a third time, repeating he had a mask. He was an inch or 2 taller than her. He was basketball player kind of skinny, and a voice she did not recognize. Okay, well, I don't think Brian's basketball player kind of skinny, but okay. The same day at approximately 1:47 p.m., okay, so he interviewed her at 12:08. What? Hang on. 12:09. Okay, so at 12:09, Mitch Nunes interviews her. 1:47. All right. So what, hour and 20 minutes later? She's interviewed at the Moscow Police Department by Lawrence Mowry. During this interview, DM reported she saw a white male she did not know, quote, maybe my height, a few inches taller, skinny athletic build, wearing all black, wearing this mask that covers his forehead and here. Okay, she must have pointed to the mouth, I don't know. Regarding his height, she reported, quote, I'm 5'10", so he's probably around 6 feet. She reported also, quote, I don't remember what his eyes looked like. I didn't recognize eyes, but definitely a white guy. 4 days later, on November 17th, Dylan was interviewed by Idaho State Police Detective Victoria Gooch and MPD Captain Dustin Blaker. Dylan Mortensen gave a detailed recounting of what she did on Saturday, November 12th, until she went to bed at approximately 3:20 on Sunday, November 13th. I put in my little note here. So she went to bed at 3:20, entering a new contact in her phone at 3:51 a.m., right? So she went to bed at 3:20, and then 31 minutes later, she is awake and entering a new contact. And then before 4:19 a.m., Xana's still on TikTok at 4:12. Bro, this is the tightest window of time I've ever seen. Holy shit. 6 minutes. Hey, 4 days later, November 17th, Victoria Gooch, Sergeant Blager. Dylan gave a detailed recounting of what she did on Saturday, November 12th, until she went to bed at approximately 3:20 a.m., Sunday the 13th. Sometime between 4 a.m. and 4:20, Dylan woke up and heard a male's voice. What? Oh my God. A voice she did not recognize say, it's okay, I'm going to help you. DM opened her door and saw, quote, someone, because from my mind, it's like I was almost wearing these like blurry glasses. Like it's fuzzy and cloudy. But it was like a figure of someone wearing all black. And it was like they had a ski mask that was covering their forehead and their chin and mouth. But I could see all I remember was seeing their eyebrows. And I don't remember what their eyes look like, but I remember their eyebrows. I don't remember the color of the eyebrows were. I just remember like bushy eyebrows. That's all I could think about. Dylan described the male as not skinny tone, that basketball kind of type. Dylan stated she is 5'10". So she thought the male was around 5'10", and then 6 feet, somewhere around there. Dylan stated the male was approximately 3 feet from where she was standing. Quote, I would say about 3 feet from what I remember. Again, that could be off because I obviously probably still a little drunk. I just woke up. I don't remember fully. My little note here was the latent shoe print that law enforcement is trying to tie to the perpetrator ended up being not 3 feet from her door. The print was actually directly on the threshold. So that's interesting. Again, she described the male, quote, I know he looked at me because I could see his eyebrows. I think I just saw one eyebrow. I don't know why or how. Dylan recounted calling and texting her roommate, Bethany, and she discussed with Bethany that there was someone in the house wearing all black and a ski mask. Dylan conveyed to the interviewers that the facts didn't fully make sense to her and that she didn't know how to explain everything. Detective Gooch explained to Dylan that the important thing was to tell only things she knew were true. That's the most important. And my little note here was like, Is Gooch like side-eyeing her, thinking she's lying, right? Hey, Dylan, can you try to only tell things that are true? That's just my snarky little opinion on that. Detective Gooch acknowledged Dylan's trauma, right? And Dylan confirmed. Detective Gooch, I almost called her Detective Cooch. Detective Gooch and Captain Blaker confirmed the facts from Dylan's memory again. Dylan reiterated she saw a male figure in the hallway, approximately 3 feet from her. He was holding something. He was wearing all black clothes. His forehead was covered. He was wearing a mask, and she remembered his eyebrows. Sidebar, now the perp is holding something, and he is not 3 feet from her door, based on the footprint they're trying to connect to the perp. But now she's introduced by the time she gets to her interview with Gooch and Blaker. Well, now this perpetrator's holding something. Interesting. Right? Hmm. Wearing a mask, she remembered the eyebrows. Captain Blaker asked what was covering his face, and Dylan stated, quote, I don't know. Weird looking ski mask. It wasn't like the regular ski mask with like eyes, and because I saw his eyebrows. And I think I saw his nose and like this part of his face, but I don't know. Jesus. Detective Gooch asked Dylan if she knew what a balaclava was and showed her a picture. So now we know why the reply to this we just read from the defense. Now you understand the reply, right? It's all this. Let's see. Balaclava, and showed her the picture. In response and addressing whether she could see the male's mouth, Dylan stated, no. I don't remember if I saw it. Like, I don't remember if I saw his nose. But I know I saw her eyebrows. And I don't remember his eyes. I just feel like I can see eyebrows. But I mean, that could be it. I mean, that would make sense why the forehead was covered and this part of the face was covered. The investigators inquired if Dylan could provide a composite for an artist. Dylan responded, no. I don't remember what his eyes look like. I don't remember what his nose looked like. I just remember eyebrows. I don't know exactly what the eyebrows looked like at all, really. I just remember thinking, like, eyebrows. Yeah, bushy, but that's all. Like, I don't remember the shape. I don't remember, like, the color. I just remember, like, bushy eyebrows. That's the only thing I can remember. On December 1st, 2022, 18 days after her first interview, Dylan was interviewed by forensic interviewer Erin Williamson. Dylan gave a detailed accounting of Saturday, November 12th until she went to bed November 13th. Dylan reported she heard a man's voice and it wasn't Ethan's. It was like, it's okay, I'm going to help you. Dylan stated she saw a, quote, all black figure about my height, maybe a few inches taller, skinny build, wearing a mask. Dylan described, I don't remember if it was just like one eyebrow or two, but it was just like this bushy eyebrow. Dylan texted Bethany, there's a guy in all black. Now we know why Bethany responded, Xana was in all black. Again, Dylan described the ski mask. I couldn't see any of his hair, but I remember just like seeing like it was like almost rectangular, like not the circle ones. It was rectangular because I remember seeing like just like I don't know how to explain it, just seeing like this maybe I'd be able to see like a cross, but I don't remember seeing his eyes. But I feel like his eyes were there. I could just see like an eyebrow. I feel like that's how I know he saw me because I could see his eyebrow. Like, if I can see his eyebrow, he can see me. Dylan then reiterated, from what I remember, I think he was just like walking past that little wall and going towards the kitchen. And I don't know, like, I just remember seeing an eyebrow. I don't know why I just see one. It was just like one bushy eyebrow. I don't remember the color, like the full shape. I just remember it being bushy. She described his clothing again, stating in the male was wearing black long sleeves, black pants, and black boots. At the end of the interview, Dylan drew the mask for the interviewer. Did I not show you guys the mask? Whatever, it's on my community tab. While drawing, she gave a consistent description of the mask and noted the eyebrows. Quote, I don't remember if I saw one or two. Like, it was just weird. On December 29th, Brian Koberger was arrested in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. The following day, December 30th, 47 days after her first interview, Dylan was interviewed by Idaho State Police Detective Joe Lake and Gary Tolson in Coeur d'Alene. Dylan was asked about Brian Koberger. Dylan Mortensen was asked, quote, have you seen a picture of Mr. Koberger? End quote. Dylan responded, yeah, I looked him up today when I found out. Regarding what picture she saw, she stated, quote, I've seen the mugshot one with the best thing, I think. The interviewer asked, quote, this Brian Koberger, the person that you saw in this mugshot, is that the person you saw in your house? Dylan responded, I have no clue. From what I remember, I just remember seeing this figure that was like not fat, obviously, but more of like the skinnier tone build and some mask on. I don't know what the mask exactly was, but when I thought about it, it was just like covering here and here. I don't know if it was covering his mouth, his nose, or below his mouth and nose. I just remember knowing that he was white, but I didn't know how he was white. I just knew he was. And this knowing, there's like I knew he had looked at me because of the bushy eyebrow. That's all I remember. But I have no idea what he looked like. I don't like when I looked at his picture, nothing came back to me at all. So that, like, I don't know. I feel like if I saw that, my mind could be like, oh, yeah, that's him. But it's just, I don't remember at all. Holy shit. I feel like I'm getting dumber as I read it, bro. Let me rub my eyes because my brain feels like it's getting dumber as I read it. No disrespect, but like for real. Regarding Dylan telling Bethany the male had a big nose, Dylan stated, all I remember, but I don't remember big nose at all, like at all. That's like, all I remember is like some bushy eyebrow in all black and some sort of a mask, but it wasn't like... Ow, ow. Oh my God, I can't. Oh my God, stop it. Quote, all I remember, but I don't remember big nose at all. Like at all. It's like, all I remember is like some bushy eyebrow in all black and a mask. But it wasn't like one of those circle ski masks. That's all I remember. Oh, a bushy eyebrow and a mask. That's it. That's all she saw one singular bushy eyebrow, all black, and some sort of a mask. Well, just some bushy eyebrow in all black and some sort of mask. That's wild. It's like all I remember is some like bushy eyebrow in all black and some sort of mask. But it wasn't like one of those circle ski masks. That's all I remember. Just a girl. Dylan testified at the grand jury proceeding. Jesus, Mary, Joseph. Ow, ow, ow. This is what she testified to at the grand jury proceeding. A bushy eyebrow in all black and a mask. Holy shit. Dylan testified at the grand jury proceeding for the above titled matter. Regarding November 13th, 2022, Dylan testified she woke up at 4 a.m. to noises, music, Murphy, talking, and or singing. Well, holy shit. Music, huh? Who was blasting the music? I thought everybody was in bed. Who's blasting music and singing? Dylan testified she opened her door and heard a man's voice say, quote, it's okay, I'm going to help you. And I didn't know who the man's voice was, end quote. Dylan testified she opened her door again and saw, quote, a figure in all black, which I believe was a person. What? First, it's just an eyebrow in all black and a mask. Now she's saying it was a figure in all black, which I believe was a person. Oh, what the fuck else would it be? Nosferatu? Would it be the Grim Reaper? What do you mean, a figure in all black, which you believe was a person? What the fuck else would it be, Dylan? I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I mean, this is likely what the defense is going to ask you. What do you mean? Which you believe would it be? A figure in black, which I believe was a person. This grand jury, by the way, friends. Let's just sidebar. This is what she told the grand jury. She opened her door again and saw, quote, a figure in all black, which I believe was a person. I knew the person was white. I don't know how, but I just knew it. I knew it was male. I think I knew that because of the voice. The person was around my height or a few inches taller. And then I knew his build wasn't like scrawny and he wasn't fat. So I figured it was like the basketball toned, lean build. My Lord, what? This is insanity. Regarding what the person was wearing, Dylan testified. There was like, from what I think I remember, it was like a black mask, almost like a ski mask, but not. It just like covered the head and then maybe up to the mouth, maybe more. I can't remember if it covered just the chin, the mouth, or the nose, or lower. Well, great. Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you. Excellent recollection of memory here. Excellent memory recall here. Right. She testified, quote, well, the thing I can really remember was something about a bushy eyebrow. I don't remember seeing anything else, just something about a bushy eyebrow. For the love. Argument DM's statements are independently reliable as law enforcement did not employ a witness identification procedure. Yeah, that's the problem. She never identified him. We don't even need to go through the rest of this. Actually, maybe we do. That's the problem state, right? Because she never actually identified him at all, no matter what picture you showed him, no matter what question you asked her, no matter what you suggested to her, balaclava, eyebrows, bushy eyebrows, no matter what you suggested, she could not and would not identify him. Period. And she definitely didn't identify him by bushy eyebrows either. Not once. All right, Manson Biggers, blah, blah, blah. It cites all of this. United States Supreme Court has held due process requires the exclusion of identification evidence if police suggestiveness creates the substantial risk of mistaken identification. Manson Bratway, Supreme Court held reliability is the linchpin in determining the admissibility of identification testimony. Neil Biggers. Right? This is where you get the whole fucking Biggers, whatever balancing test, right? Whatever that balancing test is that they do. Manson Biggers. All right. Supreme Court gave factors to be considered under the totality of the circumstances to determine whether an identification was reliable, meaning the Manson Biggers test. The reliability factors to be employed after a witness identification are as follows. 1. The opportunity of the witness to view the criminal at the time of the crime. 2. The witness degree of attention. 3. The accuracy of the prior description of the criminal. 4. The level of certainty demonstrated at the identification. 5. The length of time between the crime and the identification. And then my little notes here. Well, number 1, right? This is how you know she can be excluded. Manson Biggers. These are all your reliability factors to be employed after a witness identification are as follows. Well, number 1, she never identified him ever. Number 2, let's just go through this here. Number 1, opportunity of the witness to view the criminal at the time of the crime. She did not view the criminal at the time of the crime and only remembers one bushy eyebrow. 2, the witness's degree of attention. No attention. She saw one bushy eyebrow. She was drunk, repeatedly stated it. 3, the accuracy of the prior description of the criminal. Her accuracy is off because she has now added that the perp is holding an object. Okay? She's now added into the story that the perp is holding an object, and she still cannot identify the perpetrator, no matter what. Number 4, the level of certainty demonstrated at the identification. There is no certainty because she never identified him. The length of time between the crime and the identification. Well, again, she never identified him even after arrest. Skip through all this in the, let's see, identification. Okay. Fine, you can go read all the case law if you want and go through whatever case law they cite here. Let's get here. The facts of the Kohberger case are vastly different than the cases relied upon by the defendant. In the case at hand, on 4 separate occasions prior to Kohberger being arrested, Dillon gave consistent descriptions of the male she saw in the King Road residence around 4 a.m. Dillon gave the following consistent descriptions. All generic. White, male, wearing black, few inches taller than her, wearing a mask, skinny athletic build, singular eyebrow, in all black, and I think it was a person, but I'm not sure. Dillon also consistently describes the male's eyebrows 5 times. She never identified Brian by his eyebrows, ever, not once, still hasn't. Regarding identification after Brian Kohberger was arrested, Dillon was interviewed. She relayed that she saw a mugshot of the Brian Kohberger on the internet. She saw a mugshot of the Brian Kohberger. Ow. That's funny. She saw a mugshot of the Brian Kohberger on the internet. Detective Lake asked Dillon, quote, "Is this Brian Kohberger the person that you saw in this mugshot? Is that the person you saw in your house?" Dillon responded, "I have no clue," quote. And she couldn't identify him even after looking up the mugshot on her own. She relayed to Detective Lake the person that she saw had a mask on that covered his mouth and nose. The only discernible features were that the subject was white and had bushy eyebrows. This questioning of Dillon is not a witness identification. There was no law enforcement procedure employed to suggest identification. Yeah, there was, because she wasn't talking about bushy eyebrows or anything until you suggested it to her. Most importantly, there was no identification by DM. Exactly. That's the problem. She's never identified him. So why are you trying to introduce her testimony that she's going to be able to identify him by bushy eyebrows? You want to attach his damn picture and the photo he took of himself the next morning as proof. See, he's got bushy eyebrows, when she never fucking identified him ever once, not even by a singular bushy eyebrow. For the love of Pete. Dylan's multiple descriptions of the male were based on her own recollection and were not the result of suggestive identification procedures employed by law enforcement. Well, I disagree. Second, regarding degree of attention, she has no degree of attention. Statements indicate during the time of her observations, she was only able to see the eye and nose area. But she also saw him carrying something, so that's bullshit. She saw more than just the eye nose area. She saw a figure in all black. She said he was wearing all black clothing, black boots, black pants, black long sleeve shirt, right? So you didn't just see the eyes and nose area. You literally saw the whole person, and you weren't even sure if it was a person. This means the only discernible features on the male would have been the nose and eyes. Well, that's not true, because he was also walking, carrying an object, allegedly. On November 17th, Dylan states, quote, I just remember like bushy eyebrows. That's all I could think about. Defendant notes Dylan's artwork and drawings found on her bedroom walls, which focus on the eyebrows and eyes. This only proves that Dylan would have a degree of attention to this facial characteristic, thus reinforcing her reliability. It's only one eyebrow, and she thought the eyebrow was in all black and a mask. She wasn't even sure it was a person, just an eyebrow floating across the fucking hall. Okay. It's an eyebrow and a mask floating across the hall, and she's not even sure if it's a person. Let's just be real here. It's what's being described. And if, I sound like an asshole, it's okay. Whatever. I'm sorry, but this is ridiculous. I can't believe they bought this. I can't believe they bought this. I can't believe they bought this. So there's an eyebrow, a singular eyebrow in a mask floating basically across the hall. And the singular eyebrow that's in this mask and also in all black is carrying something. But because she paid such special attention to that eyebrow, well, that reinforces her reliability, Annie. Don't be so silly. She got that eyebrow, right? That reinforces her reliability. The state intends to introduce a photograph of Mr. Koberger taken from his phone. Yeah, we know. It's not relevant. Regarding the accuracy of the description, well, it's not accurate because she changed it multiple times. First, she saw someone in black clothing, long sleeve black shirt, black pants, black boots. Then it was just a figure, not even sure if it's a person. Then it was this figure. The eyebrow in the mask is carrying something. So there is no accuracy of the description here. The description has changed multiple times. Level of certainty. She's not certain at all. Fourth, regarding the level of certainty. Well, she's not certain at all. She said repeatedly, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. It was a dream. I was dreaming. I was drunk. I don't know. I am not sure. Right? We all know that. Let's get through this. Relevant and admissible. Her statements are relevant and admissible. And they aren't. She never identified him by a bushy eyebrow, so let's stop sharing this. Fuck off. All right, close that out. She never identified him at all, not once, not even by a singular bushy eyebrow. So what do you guys think about that, huh? So we went from this person in the home, a male whose voice she doesn't recognize, is in a long sleeve black shirt with black pants and black boots. But then it changes to just a figure, and it's just one eyebrow in a mask, basically floating, carrying something, I guess. Making its way, this she's not even sure if it's a person. She says, which I think was a person. What do you mean you think it was a person? What else could it be if it's not a person? Right? Peterson, you know what I'm saying, right? Nosferatu. Right, he's flying around with the shower cape on. That's what it sounds like. Only one eye. You know what I mean? One eye Willie floating around with a cape. Only one eye. That's really interesting, huh? One eye, one eyebrow. One eye, one eyebrow. Interesting. Yeah, abracadabra's right. Abracadabra's right. My goodness gracious. It's just interesting how it changed, how it morphed, right? How it morphed. Yeah, I know, right? It's so weird. They ever check the manholes for the mask? Yeah, I know. Ow. I don't know, Beckles. Yeah, right? That's what I was thinking. Tar Rock, welcome in. Right? Sounds like she's having an acid trip, but allegedly only drinking, so I don't know. That's what everybody keeps saying, huh? An apparition. Mercy Cat, there you go, right? She saw an apparition with one eyebrow carrying something. It's just wild to me how the things get added on as the interviews go on, right? How the things, the statements change, the story changes, a couple things get added, a couple things all in all, at the end of the day, as Jennings would say, at the end of the day, Dylan was absolutely not sure of any of it, is what it sounds like, other than one singular eyebrow, and that eyebrow was not used to identify Koberger. So, she has never once identified him. Yeah, there you go, Tony Stevenson, right? Cyclops with a unibrow. That's what it sounds like. Oh, P. Fox. Yeah, One Eye Willie, huh? Yeah, I don't know, RV. I mean, I don't want to speculate. I have no idea. It just says she did have a lot. I mean, champagne, 9 to 10 White Claws, half a gallon of Borg, and then many consumed alcoholic beverages during some drinking game that we have no idea how many. Or I mean, there's a really good chance that maybe the intention was to get her absolutely annihilated so that even if she kind of came to or heard stuff happening, she ain't going to remember that shit anyway, right? It's all going to be real, real fuzzy. Who knows? Yeah, the Grim Reaper, right? Okie Granny. Yeah, I don't know. Sounds like that's kind of what we're getting at here. I don't know. Well, they can let her take the stand. They just can't let her try to identify Brian by his bushy eyebrow, when in actuality, she's never identified Brian on anything, much less a bushy eyebrow. Know what I mean? That's what the defense is arguing here. You want to have her testify? Great, bring her up. We welcome it. But she's not going to say that somehow now the state is going to identify him by the bushy eyebrow for her, right? That's what the defense is arguing. The state doesn't get to come in and say, well, see, because we think he has bushy eyebrows. Well, there you go. Confirmation. She said singular bushy eyebrow. He has a bushy eyebrow. That's all you need. It's not how it works. She can't come in and talk about the damn bushy eyebrow, nor does the state get to question her regarding the bushy eyebrow, I think is the point here, right? Any talk of the goddamn bushy eyebrow needs to be ixnayed from here. Him at all, much less by a singular bushy eyebrow. That's right. That is right. Heather, for fuck's sake, Fitziana, darling, right brain, correct. When in fact, she can't be allowed to identify him by his singular bushy eyebrow, when in fact he has two normal eyebrows. Agreed, darling. Agreed. Yeah, 10 White Claws, right, Tony? Damn, 9 to 10 is what it said. And she had champagne plus Borg. Those Borgs are those damn big gallon jugs they used to walk around with at the football games. It's got a bunch of different alcohol in it, and I think like Kool-Aid packets or some shit. They chug that shit. Ugh. You know, I'm all for... Listen, we all been there, right? We were all young, dumb, partied, whatever. But my God, when I tell you, for the love of God, the alcohol consumption, it's terrifying when you think about it, I hope parents out there talk to their kids about, it's one thing if you don't want to tell me that you're going to go have some drinks at a friend's house, but like if you're ever letting people absolutely get you so intoxicated that you literally are waking up to singular eyebrows, you're not even sure that you don't want to be that intoxicated, ladies. If there's any young ladies in the audience listening, please don't ever allow yourself to be so intoxicated that you could end up in a room not knowing what's even happening to you at all, or what's happening around you. You can go have fun and maybe get a little buzz on, but I'm of the opinion you should never be so annihilated that you could literally end up passed out somewhere, or worse, right? Too much alcohol poisoning or something. And then you're on a hope and a prayer that the same people who, I don't think these people are going to do anything to help you should you end up unconscious on alcohol. My guess is long periods of time are going to go by before any help is called for. So that's just my opinion. But oh, well, thanks, Catacomb Man. I was there once. We were all there once. But I gotta say, I don't think, actually, no, there was once that I was absolutely wrecked. Like 22 years old. Thank God, though. I was with very, very good friends who, once they saw how wrecked I was, they made sure that I was incredibly protected for the rest of the evening and secure. So that was nice of them. I had some good friends, How could she appear sober on the 911 call? Yeah, I know, Tony, right? Wild. I know. Well, I mean, you figure that's what, another 8-9 hours for it to wear off, I guess. From like 3:20 in the morning, being absolutely annihilated by almost noon. But I mean, then again, I don't know. After we've seen all the text messages and we know they were awake much earlier and stuff like that. Yeah, I was once. Only once, RB. But yeah, so I don't know. I feel like we got through a lot tonight. And to be honest with you, I'm actually starting to get a little, tired. It's almost 10 o'clock. I'm getting a little bit of a headache. I probably went a little longer than I should have. Don't tell my doctor, but it's fine. I'm still going to try to limit screen time. So I think what we're going to do is over the next couple of days, I'll try and get us as caught up as I can. Go through some of the newer stuff as well. Try and get in 2 to 3 to 4 each day. The shorter ones, 2, 3, 4 pages, we'll bang those right out. What do you guys think? And now you guys, if Lana's still live, you can go hop over with her or whoever else, Kane, whoever. I don't know who's live right now, but I'm sure there's 100 other people live. So I'm going to get some rest. Mods, I love you so much. I hope everybody has such a great night. Mercy Cat, love you. Thank you for always being so concerned about me. I appreciate you, darling. And I hope you have an awesome week at work. Mrs. Peterson, love you. Love you so much. Hope you have a great day, great night, great week. Take care of yourself. You get rest too. I know you're planting lots of things, which is good for the soul. So good for you. I'm glad you're outside in nature. It's good for the spirit and the soul. V, well, you're welcome, darling. I appreciate all of you hanging out with me and listening to me read these. And don't worry, we'll get into more. I'll make a little checklist so I don't read things twice. What do you mean a 7? Yeah. Can you read the 70-page one on Saturday? Too fast for fleas. Duly noted, darling. You know what? Because I love you, let me write that down on a little note for you right now. Specifically, Too Fast for Fleas wants Saturday. 70 pages, eh? Can you read the 70-page one Saturday? So we'll do Saturday, 70-page. Which one is that, darling? Anything for you, darling. Because you requested it, I'll do it for you. Absolutely. What time works for you, darling? I love you, Mercy Cat, so much. I will rest, I promise, I promise, I promise. Yes. Too Fast for Fleas, Saturday, 70-page request. You got it. You got it. I'll read the 70-pager for you. I'll make sure I go through it first. Which one is it, though, honey? That way I don't have to go digging for it. Tell me which one it is. I'll make sure I get it. Although earlier, I don't know if anybody else was having the problem, I could access all the defense's replies to the state stuff, but when I was trying to click into the states, it kept saying page error. Was anybody else getting that? State's reply to defendant's objection. Motion eliminate what? State's reply to defendant's objection to the motion in limine. Which motion in limine, darling? Twiz is here. He's always here, darling. Meanie. He's always, always here. Twiz is even here now when I finally found that item. Twiz is right there, Meanie. Okie Granny, I promise I'll take care of myself. Don't you worry. Self-authentication of records. Thank you. Got it. Too Fast for Fleas. Request noted. And we'll do that for you, darling. Okay. Done. I wrote that down. Yes, Twiz is always lurking, darling. Always. Especially over here. Even if you don't see him in chat, he's here listening. Always, always, always. All right. I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome, awesome night. And I'll try and do something tomorrow, cover a few more, and then next day, a couple more. But Saturday, Too Fast for Fleas, all you, darling. You guys have a great night. Mods, thanks again. Appreciate you modding for me. I hope you know that. I truly, truly appreciate it. I know it's time out of your day, and you guys could be anywhere else and you're here with me. I want you to know how much I appreciate that. I really do. Have a great night. Get some sleep.